Hello, and welcome back to the Transfer Portal Gambling Show. This is week 5 of our show. I think it's show 6. I'm bad at math. It's just me and Andrew today, where Andrewster and Matt are on hiatus. But before we get to the show, I need to remind you about our partnership. Whether you're a seasoned bettor or a first-timer, MyBookie gets you the most free money with a double deposit bonus up to $1,000. To claim your bonus, sign up and use promo code TRANSFER on your first deposit, and you'll instantly double your money with MyBookie. It's simple. First-time bettors make a $100 deposit. That puts $200 in your account. And you can use your funds to bet on as many individual games, contests, or props as you want. Bet on team win totals, predict the national championship winner, take South Alabama to cover because I know they're going to, bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. So, week 5. Andrew, I know you love the board. I also love the board. We're recording on, I believe it's Thursday night, so this will be out Friday. So let's start with the Friday games, day of. If you're listening, we're going to do it real early for you. To start off, I'm going to give up when Andrew's and Matt have a pick, I'm going to bring those up as well. And the first game on our board is Texas San Antonio and Middle Tennessee State. Middle Tennessee State is coming off that crazy emotional win against Miami. Miami looked terrible. Andrew's on UTSA minus 4.5, and agree with them. It seems like it's going to be a letdown game for the Blue Raiders. And UTSA is arguably the best team in Conference USA next to UAB. And I think that UTSA is just I think they have better weapons than Miami. It sounds crazy to say, but I think the Roadrunners they win this game by a touchdown or more. I like UTSA, and I also have a play with them in our next game. But do you have any thoughts about that game, or you're staying away from the Roadrunners?
I'm staying away from it, and it's nothing against UTSA. It's nothing against Middle Tennessee State. It's nothing against anybody. Anybody that watched me, especially the week 4 preview when I spoke very highly of UTSA's offense. I still love the offense a lot. I love Josh Ostefis. I love Dorian Clark. I love Zachary Franklin. I love Frank Harris. I love Brendan Brady. I love that offense to bits. And many people will make the argument of that this is Middle Tennessee's like letdown spot, that this is fine, that they're on such a high win against Miami, that this just feels like the perfect time to like where they should be faded. This is just too risky for me. If this was in San Antonio and if it was like UTSA minus 7.5, I would crush it, to be honest with you, because UTSA, they crushed Middle Tennessee State last year. I still love this UTSA offense. They are the best 2-2 team in the country right now. Sure. And that is just so unbelievably weird to say, because they were in such a huge letdown spot against U of H. They got beaten pretty well by Texas, but the offense is still so good. I think I would probably lean towards the UTSA minus 4.5, but with this being at Middle Tennessee State, I just don't. It's just too risky for me. It's too much gray area.
Yeah, it's for sure a weird game, especially off. I feel like if Middle Tennessee State doesn't win the game against Miami, though, UTSA is getting a touchdown, maybe even more. But I like that UTSA. The S4 isn't on my card, but I have them later on. I know the next game. Actually, this game is beforehand. I know you have a play in Houston, Tulane. I know you're watching out for your Cougs again.
I am, and this is if I would have placed any bet last week, it would have been Rice plus 17 versus U of H, which would have covered, because I think Rice is actually better than what most people think. I mean, they went into U of H last week. They were 2-1. They led for most of the game. I was at that game, and I was pissed off the entire time. Somebody that was sitting next to me said that he was going to run to the field and defecate on Rice's equipment box. Luckily, that did not happen. But I got UH minus 2.5 right now. And originally, I thought Tulane, remember, they just beat Kansas State 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And that would have led me to believe that, okay, Tulane's probably arguably the best team in Conference USA. I mean, the American right now. And I had a lot of faith of Tulane, but then, especially after they beat Kansas State, and then they lose to Southern Miss last week. I mean, I don't know how you beat the likes of Deuce Vaughn and that strong Kansas State up front, and then you beat those guys, and then you lose to Southern Miss, who is one of the worst teams in Conference USA for this season, and now you're going into U of H. UH is having their blackout tomorrow night. Well, it'll be tonight by the time people listen to this, but this is a really good spot for Houston. I think the defensive front was really coming together very well just towards the end of that Rice game. I love what D'Anthony Jones is doing. Watch out for Nell Season. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game because UH's offense is still not clicking that well. And Tank Dell, he was really slow towards the end of towards the game last week against Rice. But I love the Cougs offense so much, the defense so much right now. I think they're going to be able to limit Tulane's opportunities. -2.5. I think that this is. I really do like that. Just win the game by a field goal. I think this is finally a good spot, especially at home during a blackout.
Yeah, I think the blackout being at home for the blackout bumps them up 100%, and I do like that play. But the next game, Friday game, we're gonna get into. Me and Matt and I, excuse me, bad grammar. Matt and I agree on this game. We're on the Washington Huskies -2.5. I'm taking Washington -2.5. I'm also parlaying their money line with the UTSA money line. That's a +163 parlay. It's not my parlay for the parlay corner, but that's a play that I really like. That's on my card. I love this Washington team. I think Michael Penix Jr. is he's worthy of the Heisman hype he's getting because he has been, if not the best quarterback in the country. He leads the FBS in passing. And I know that UCLA just beat up on Colorado, but they should have lost to South Alabama. And this Washington team is just way, 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 way too good to only be getting 2.5 on the road. I think they win this game by 20. I know that it's trappy where they're giving it's the number 50 team in the country. UCLA and it's trap. UCLA is going to win this game. I think Washington's too good. I think they're trap defendant. I don't know what I was, but the trap's not going to happen. I think Washington crushes UCLA. I don't think there's much of a home field advantage for UCLA, and Washington wins this game big.
So I do like that play a lot. I can only get it on -3. I couldn't get it 2.5, but I don't think it really matters at this point either. That's one of my official plays too. It's really it feels trappy, but UCLA, where do they rank among the worst undefeated teams left in the country right now?
They might be the worst. Yeah,
their strength of record, the strength of record has got to be among the worst among all Power 5 teams. You played Bowling Green to open up the year. You then played Alabama State, and then you played South Alabama. You beat them by only 1 point. And then you beat Colorado, which, Andrewster, we should have taken his word since the beginning of the season in terms of the under on Colorado's win total. But this is not a situation where you can look at UCLA and be like, okay, they're going to have a great home field advantage. All their fans are going to be. They don't even announce their attendance. They don't announce the attendance numbers during games anymore. They don't, just because it's literally going to be like 7K or something like that. It's going to be like literally 1/10 of the stadium's even there. So, look, I love this Michael Penix offense. DeBoer is doing a great job. First year there at Washington. A culture change is there, which is what they really needed last year. It's polar opposite of what it was last year. Last year was literally just defense first. They still had them on the best pass defenses in the country. But now it's a bit, I don't want to say it's a flip script, but with Michael Penix, I really wasn't the biggest fan of him going there just because I thought it was like how bad so inconsistent he was at Indiana and how bad Washington was last year on offense. Those two together just honestly just sounded like it was going to be a crash, but they're making it work. I think they're the highest scoring team in the Pac-12 right now, maybe right before USC. So I love the Huskies -3 at the Rose Bowl.
I think USC scored 17 points last week, and for sure, I know that Washington fans tend to travel, and I think they will make the trip down there, have a nice little weekend in LA to see the Huskies win big. So that's
also it's still LA, and Washington's a huge brand on the West Coast too. So you know that there's going to be a ton of Huskies fans that already live in LA. They're going to be in that game anyways.
Yeah, those fans travel. So I think that's it for our Friday. I know New Mexico, we're not going to touch. So then the first game on the board for us, Michigan, Iowa. I'm not sure. Do you have a play in that?
I do not. It's
Okay,
too trappy. I
so
remember a couple years ago, Michigan was ranked number 3 in the country. They were in prime position to make it to the playoff if they would have beaten Ohio State, and then they lost to Iowa. It's at Kinnick Stadium, and and I'm going to talk a little bit more on this later on one of my other plays, but Spencer Petras threw a touchdown pass last week, and he threw another one the week before. There's something wrong here. There's just something legitimately wrong in this world. I don't know if the earth is frozen whenever a game is being played with Iowa on now, but anything with Iowa, I am staying away from because there is a weird black magic going on here.
yeah,
And
minus
11 is a little too big for me, especially when it's at Kinnick.
Yeah, so the way I know that Matt has a play, Matt's lock is actually in this game, and I kind of like the play here. But so I wrote it down as an official play originally, and I had Michigan minus 10.5. However, the more I listen to people talk, the more that I talk to people about it. I just heard you talk about it, how it's a weird black magic game, yada yada. It could be trappy. I don't think I'm gonna stick with Michigan minus 10.5. Only because I just don't think Iowa can score. And if they do score, it's going to be on a turnover. McCarthy's turnover prone. He relies on his talent. He's not really much of a fundamental quarterback, but I think Michigan's the better team. I think Blake Corum gets it done. And I know that they had trouble against Maryland, but I think Maryland is a better team than Iowa is. So that's why I think you're going to give them 10 against Iowa and then 17 against Maryland. I think Michigan covers this game.
The toughest thing with me on this game right now is this is going to be the toughest defense that JJ McCarthy is going to be playing up to this point. Even though Cade got the start at the beginning of the season, it doesn't matter because the talk last week was Maryland is finally a real team that Michigan got to play up to this point. Well, now they finally get to play a real defense. I mean, because I like the Maryland offense a lot, but this is an Iowa defense that just scored 2 touchdowns last week against Rutgers. Granted, it's Rutgers. Okay, maybe they're not the same as JJ McCarthy, but it's still. But we know that this Iowa team can create turnovers, and an Iowa defense is always stout, especially when they're at home. And I love Jack Campbell at linebacker a lot. I think he has the dynamic to change the focus and the momentum of a game. That's the real reason why I'm staying over is just the dynamic of Iowa's defense at home.
Yeah, I agree. That's fair, but I think I get the dynamic. I just don't think this is a strong Iowa team, and I think I don't think Michigan's very strong either. I think they're a little overrated at 4. They should be around 6, 7, but I think they're just a much better team. I'm going to take the 10.5. Kentucky Ole Miss we're staying away from. I don't like when lower ranked teams are a touchdown favorite at home. I'm staying away from it. I think it's just a weird game, but we don't need to touch on it because no one has any plays. Moving down the list, I think our first official play from that would be, I believe that's Andrewster has Oklahoma minus 5.5. And how did K-State beat Oklahoma? They ran the ball. So I think Oklahoma wins the game. I don't know about how much, but Andrewster has minus 5.5, minus 6, what it moves down to. And then I think you have a play in Purdue, Minnesota, right?
I do not, but
no. I read Andrew wrong. So then down the line, Andrewster and Matt are both on Minnesota to cover. I like it. However, I think that this is a game where, for me, I'm staying away from it just because I know everyone's so high on Minnesota now and everyone's so low on Purdue. 12 is probably where it should be at, but I could see Purdue keeping this game very, very close because, as you know, Big Ten West games get frisky. They get weird. I think Aiden O'Connell could have a good game, but I think Minnesota's a better team.
My biggest issue, I really thought about putting Purdue, doing alt line to my parlay and just do Purdue plus 25. But I was just this is just way too silly at that point. But at the same time, it's just am I the only one that's disappointed with how Purdue started the season so far? I mean,
100%.
They really kept it close against Penn State, and they lost to Penn State on a last minute per se, and that's understandable. Okay, I mean, Penn State was favored. It made sense that the game turned out the way it did. But then when they lost to Syracuse the way that they did, then that kind of like really ruined my whole
Yeah.
agenda of that. Oh, Aiden O'Connell and there's really good receiving core and Payne Durham and one of his old buddies from high school is on that team now, and it kind of it's just I'm just disappointed in Purdue. Like I really thought Purdue was going to be like an interesting team that could keep games close, but like I really wanted to bet Purdue plus 12, but I just can't do it. And Minnesota, they have a really bad strength of record too. They beat a Michigan State team that I just don't think there's a chance that they may not even be bowl eligible, to be honest with you, just because of how tough the rest of the road is for them. And I just I can't really buy any stock on Minnesota right now until they play, I don't know who they play in the Big Ten East this year, but like, I think this is going to be the first official game where we can really get a good idea of who Minnesota truly is.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think it's a weird game. It's at noon. I think that's noon games. There's a lot of good noon games for sure. But yes. Yeah, moving on. I like Texas Tech at Kansas State getting 8. Kansas State shouldn't be ranked. That's they lost to Tulane, and then they beat one, so shouldn't be ranked. Great win, great emotional win, but you shouldn't be ranked. Texas Tech just beat Texas. That was a great win for Texas Tech. Texas Tech didn't look good against NC State, but I think they're better than how they played against NC State. I think the best Kansas State you're going to get is the Kansas State that beat Oklahoma. So if you in my mushy brain, if you take the averages of the two teams, Texas Tech will cover this game. I think Texas Tech could win this game, but I'm sticking with the 8. I just think they have a fun offense. It's gonna be pretty high scoring, I would say. I don't think the defenses are too. Neither defense is great, but I like Tech a lot. I like their quarterback. I think they're a very solid football team, and I see them covering a touchdown. If they do lose the game, it'll be like they'll lose like 27, 21, 24, 21, or somewhere around there. But yep, I'm on Tech.
I mean, I'm not gonna disagree with you. I was gonna make an official play on that, but I said to add a little alt line to the parlay. I respect Tech a lot. I've seen a lot from their defense. I didn't get to see the ending of the Texas game because I was at the UH game, but there was a lot in that Texas and Texas Tech game where I was kind of like, I think Tech is more legitimate than what people are giving him credit for, And I do like Donovan Smith a lot. I don't believe he committed any turnovers last week against Texas. I don't think he did at all. And that's what keeps Texas Tech really close in games. Why did he lose against NC State? Because he turned the ball over. When he protects the ball, this is where Texas Tech is at their best. I really like Taj Brooks, the running back. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
And I think their defense deserves more credit than what they're getting. This is not a Texas Tech defense that's always been like bottom 10 in the country in terms of pass defense. They've held a lot of quarterbacks really below. Devin Leary didn't even have that great of a game against them when they played.
I think yeah. I don't think he's as good as we all thought.
But I do like that play. And, if Adrian Martinez thinks that he's going to run all over Oklahoma, run all over Tech the way he did at Oklahoma, he'll be sadly mistaken.
Yeah, not going to happen. And then moving on, I think I'm the only one with a play in this game, Air Force Navy. I'm on the under 37.5 just because it's a service academy game. And I think the number is 41-9-1 to the under. So I'm on that under. That's kind of just like something you got to do in the service academies play. Take the under. I love Air Force. I think Air Force wins this game. Because I don't think Navy will be able to score on them. But yeah, I think Air Force will win this game like 21-3 or something. But I'm pretty confident that over. And that under. Wow, under 37.5 is the play. JMU Texas Tech is next on the board. That's you.
Yeah, I got JMU minus 13 first half versus Texas State. I don't think Texas State's got enough trash talked in terms of how bad they are. They really looked bad against Baylor last week. When we had Shahan on in the preseason talking about the Texas teams, he regarded Texas State as the worst team in the state right here. JMU, I mean, shout out to them. They've had we don't really like to throw this term around a lot in college football, but they're having a bit of a Cinderella story. I mean, a lot of them thought that they were going to go like 7-5. This is the first year in the FBS. They're having tremendous success already to start off their term here in the FBS. I just think this JMU offense has been looked really well. This is JMU that literally just beat arguably the pick to win the Sun Belt this year in App State. I
Rutgers
mean,
team.
just go Old Miss. I mean, just go JMU. I love this play a lot, and I just think Texas State's just so bad. This is at JMU also. This is I you know what? I'm gonna start treating Texas State the same way that Andrews treats Colorado, to be honest
I
with
love
you.
that.
Who they playing? Okay, I'll take the other team. That's the way it works.
I think if we're going to talk about Colorado real quickly, we're staying away from that because again we fade Colorado, but Colorado is playing Arizona, and I do not like Arizona. I don't like the aura, but that's we'll move on from
That's
that.
ultimate sickos game of the week right there.
UMass, EMU, Eastern Michigan, the Eagles. I'm on -20. This is Andrew's favorite play of the board. This is his lock, which I'll reiterate later when I bring up locks. But yeah, I think Eastern Michigan's a pretty solid MAC team. They have a good offense. They have really good receivers, and UMass is horrible. They're just a bad football team, and I think they lost to, let me check. Toledo crushed them. If I'm correct, I believe Toledo just beat up the Minutemen. Yeah, Toledo beat them 55-10. So if Toledo won by 45 and EMU was getting 20, EMU will win by 30, 31, 35.
Also lost 28-0 to Temple, who
Temple's
is our
horrible.
Temple.
With
When
ease.
we had our AAC preview, Temple was dead last in both me and Adam's season preview. Temple is a horrible football team. You know how you can tell a college football team's bad? Pittsburgh is the only outlier to what I'm about to say here, is when they play in an NFL stadium.
That's a good point. Yeah,
Remember, UMass used to play at Foxborough,
that's true.
and then
And
they
then-
kicked them out.
The next game on the board for me, Oklahoma State, Baylor. I'm on the under. I usually don't like taking unders, but this is my second under of the week. 56.5 I think is too high. I can't see both teams cracking. I mean, so that's 28-28. I can't see a team cracking 30, honestly, just because there's so much history between these two teams and they know what kind of offenses they like. They're on. Oklahoma State has Spencer Sanders at quarterback again. Baylor knows how Spencer Sanders runs that offense. Aranda, great defensive minded head coach. And I don't like Blake Shapen. I don't think Blake Shapen's a very good quarterback. And I just think that this is going to be a very, very close game, 3:30 on Fox. I'm not sure if Gus is calling this one. This is a very, very good game. Very 12 championship last year. It's going to be very low scoring. And I think Oklahoma State pulls it off in Waco, but it's going to be an under for me.
The issue that I have here with that pick is Oklahoma has yet to score under 30 points this year. Oklahoma State has yet to score under 30. Baylor has only scored under 30 once, and that was against BYU.
Yeah, but I don't. So I did look at that.
It's different competition. It's different competition.
Yeah.
Last year, this was the lowest scoring game in the Big 12. I give that. It's just the only reason why I personally would stay away.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree. I see what you're saying, but when you look at it, Oklahoma State beat Central Michigan, terrible defense. Excuse me, I'm all over the place today. They beat Central Michigan 58 point, terrible defense. Arizona State, bad defense, and then Arkansas Pine Bluff, they put 63 up on. They're also coming off a bye week, so I think they'll come out a little bit slow. Iowa State 31, that's fair. They beat Texas State 26 against BYU. I think Oklahoma State's defense is comparable than BYU's defense. So I just think it's going to be very similar. Like they put up, they scored 20 points. I was looking at the wrong number. They scored 20 points against BYU in 2 overtimes. I think that they'll score 3 touchdowns, but I think Oklahoma State wins this game like 27-21, 24-21. I don't think anyone goes over 28, honestly. But you could be right. I think both offenses are moving the ball, but I think they get shut down because they just know each other so well, these teams. Next up, for me, I believe who else is Matt is on this with me. I'm not sure if you have a play in this or not, but I like Wake Forest plus 7.5, just because you give them plus 7.5 against Clemson. They could have won that game at home. I know it's at home, and then this game opened up at 3.5 against Florida State, and Florida State is not good enough to be a touchdown favorite against this Wake Forest team. I know Wake Forest has lost, but they're a very good football team. Sam Hartman's a very quarterback. He has
Their
weapons.
performance last week only solidified them being a better team. That's all it did.
And I also think we'll talk about Clemson a little bit later, but I think that Clemson is just a lot better than I thought. But yeah, Wake Forest is a very good team, and Florida Jordan Travis is a very good quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but they don't really move the needle. Florida State, they beat LSU. That was a nice win, and then they haven't impressed me. They beat Louisville. Louisville's not very good, and then they smoked BC. BC is not good. Florida State could very well win this game, but they're not good enough to be getting a touchdown or more at home. I know they're at home, but Wake Forest is way too good to be a touchdown and a half dog, and I'm all over that.
I got no thoughts on it, really. I mean, truthfully, I think in our weekly pick 'em, I think I picked Wake Forest to win the game. I mean, I thought Sam Hartman was too good. They had so many great wide receivers show out last week versus Clemson. It wasn't even all A.T. Perry. So, and I'm still very suspect on this Florida State team because let's be honest, that Louisville team is honestly just Malik Cunningham and everybody else. LSU had no identity to start off the year, and they've just been playing cupcakes other than that.
Exactly. I'm in the same boat with you. I love Wake. So then I think the next game on the board, I'm on Kansas, not Kansas +3. I'm on Kansas money line. This Kansas team is electric. Jalon Daniels, Daniel Highshaw, Devin Neal. They score 48.5 points a game. I know Iowa State has a solid defense, and Kansas might struggle covering Xavier Hutchinson, but their offense is very good, very potent.
Correct me if I'm wrong, it's in Lawrence, right?
It is in Lawrence, and they're a 3-point dog in Lawrence. So
that's disrespectful at this point. Yeah. I mean, I think whenever we look at Iowa State, their best win what's their best win? Over Iowa, week 2. Yeah. And how much stock can you really put in that? I don't even think Iowa's that good. Yeah. I mean, as someone that's watched Jalon Daniels and Highshaw in person, it was week 3 of the season. That team is legit. I love Jalon Daniels. I love the way he runs the ball. I said it on a podcast earlier this week. He reminds me so much of Lamar Jackson, where he's just like, he's a great thrower of the ball. He's probably an even better runner of the ball. But what he does better that I think what most quarterbacks do in this game is he elevates the whole team. Like, he makes the entire team better whenever he's just himself. And it's not something that you can just look at a stat sheet and say, okay, yeah, this is what he does. Because, he needs to be on a Heisman ladder right now. Kansas needs to be ranked. The fact that they're still not ranked is absolutely an atrocity. I mean, I've ranked in our rankings, I put them at number 18 because I think they're that good. The way that they showed out last week, I thought was really good. I'm really impressed with how they played against Duke. Duke has not been a puppet team to start off the year either. They've been a lot stronger than what I think a lot of people expected. +3 on home turf. I mean, it's probably trappy, but at the same time, it's I look at Iowa State, I'm just based on all the production that they lost from last year and all the production that's showing out for Kansas this year, why should I not believe in Lance Leopold and Jalon Daniels? I love this Kansas offense to every bit. I really do. In fact, hang on. Do me a favor. Keep talking on this game. I need to go to my bookie right now, and I need to know what is Kansas's team total for this game.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like we were saying, it's disrespectful. They should be ranked. They should be ranked. Leopold has something going with this team. I don't know. It's like 2007 all over again. You never thought that Kansas football would be good again, but they're a good football team. I'm not saying they're going to contend for the Big 12, but Kansas, I think they win this game. I really, really do. And they're going to struggle with Xavier Hutchinson because their defense isn't great and their corners aren't great, and Hutchinson's a beast. But if they can double team Hutchinson, make sure that can all prone to turnovers. If they can get to him and pressure him and make him nervous in the pocket, I think he turns the ball over. I just think Kansas is I think they're the play. I really do. You find it?
Yes, I did. So for Kansas total, they got 2 totals showing here. They have a 27.5 and they have a 28. If you were to bet the over on the 27.5, it's at -121 via MyBookie. If you were to bet over 28, it's -109. So just take it as 28.
Yeah, take the 28.
I think that's just something you got to take, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree. I'm on that as well now. I love.
Should I make an official play? Tell me right now.
Just play. Let's do it live on the pod.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Kansas live. Let's do it. I'm only going to do the 27.5 though, just because I
Yeah, because you can
hate.
win.
I just hate
Flat
it when
numbers.
you do like the flat touchdown mark.
Yeah.
But yeah, live on pod right now. I am currently betting my unit on Kansas over 27.5. Place bet and
I'm on
confirmed.
Kansas. So, Rock Chalk Jayhawk. This is a big Jayhawk podcast today. If you want to talk a little bit about, I know you've been playing Michigan State, Maryland, right?
I do. I like Maryland minus. I like Maryland minus 8.5 at home against a Spartans team that has honestly looked so hapless. They've looked hapless against Washington. They looked horrible against Minnesota. The fact that Minnesota's offense looked electric against Michigan State just proves that this Michigan State defense honestly has not improved at all since last year. I mean, you may have a couple teams that are ranked below you in terms of pass defense, but they're still not good. Michael Penix shredded this team, and Tanner Morgan made plays against this team too. Like I assume Talia is going to be. He's going to be.
Yeah.
I assume Talia is going to be 100% ready to go by the time that this game goes off at kickoff. But Maryland hang on against Michigan last week, and not just that, they were finally end zone. They had the lead for quite a bit in the first half, and then Michigan was just being Michigan. They did pull away, but I think it's a little bit like what we said about Wake Forest. I think Maryland, even though they lost against Michigan last week, I think they're proved themselves to. I think they proved that they are a legit team, that they can be very good in the Big Ten. I think that this is. I think Maryland's in a really good spot here where they can just honestly pass the ball lights out over this Michigan State secondary. I love this minus 8.5. I don't. This might sound really stupid to say, but I don't even know if Vegas has this right. I don't even think they know just how good Maryland is.
Yeah. I think Maryland's very good and Michigan State's not good whatsoever. So moving on, next game we have on the board after Maryland, Michigan State. Oh, Central Michigan, Toledo. So I'm going to touch on this later on. And then next up we have, what time is that Alabama game? 7, right?
The Alabama game, I think it's at like 5:30ish, I think.
6:30. Yeah. All right. So I know that Alabama, you have a play in that game, right? I think. Where is this game?
It's at Arkansas. So, but to me, that don't matter. I think right now Arkansas looks pitiful, to be honest. Okay, it's 2:30 Central, so that will be 3:30.
Yeah, I missed the Alabama game completely. Yeah. So touch on the Alabama game for sure.
Arkansas has the worst pass defense of the country. Alabama's being given 17. I decided to buy a point and give it 16.5. It goes down a little bit, minus 125, but it feels like the safer play here. I truthfully think Alabama is going to just run. I mean, I think Bryson is just going to have a field day against this Arkansas team. Alabama is not slowing down for the season. Arkansas, they just looked absolutely pitiful. I just think the whole team is down after their absolutely disaster against Texas A&M last week. I think Alabama's just going to go in there and they're just going to there's no other way to put it other than they're just going to steamroll into Fayetteville.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think they're going to blow out Arkansas, but I'm not on the 17. What I'm taking is this is probably one of my bigger plays. It's not my whale play, not going to be my lock, but one of my favorite plays is Alabama first quarter, minus 5.5. I think they're
Smart.
up. I think they're up at least 14 after the first quarter. So 5.5 is, in my opinion, free money. So take that 5.5 minus 115. It might jump to 6. As long as you get it under a touchdown, you're good to go. So I really like that play.
I'm not sure if you realize this, but you also skipped a very important noon game that I got a couple plays on.
Oh, did I? What did I skip?
You skipped Wisconsin, Illinois.
Oh my God, I did. Yeah, you know what I did? I put it, because I added it later. It's right there in my margin. All right, Wisconsin, Illinois. You do have some plays in there. I apologize.
You're good. I got 2 in there. Well, technically 3 if you count the one that I have on the parlay. So I just came on here during the review, the week 3 review or the week 4 review, talking about how I wanted Paul Chris fired, how this Wisconsin team looks absolutely lifeless. And because so many people in Madison want Paul Chris fired, and because there is such an agenda going on against him, this just means that he's going to put up the best offensive performance that Wisconsin's put up all season. So that is why I got 2 plays on here. Let me bring it up here. I got Wisconsin over 24.5. I think this is the type of game where when it's at Camp Randall, I know Illinois had a pretty good defense to start the year, but at the same time, this Wisconsin running game with Braylon Allen, he still got over 150 yards last week against Ohio State, despite getting crushed by like 31. So I still think Wisconsin's going to run the ball very effectively. I don't like this Illinois offense, even though Chase Brown is still very good. He's among the top 5 rushers in the country. It's still a very stale rushing offense. And Jim Leonard, he's going to have guys geared up, especially when it's at home against an inferior opponent, in my opinion, Illinois. Also, this is Brett Bielema's homecoming, essentially, for him to be back in Madison since he left in such the most disgraceful fashion back in 2012. I just know that Camp Randall is going to absolutely boo the living hell out of him more than he ever has in his life. So I got 2 plays here. Wisconsin over 24.5, just to score 24.5. I think they're going to do that.
Yeah.
Also, I think they're going to be at -3.5 first half versus Illinois 2. I think they're going to be up by at least 10 points. I don't see how Illinois has a lead. I think Vegas is really down on Wisconsin based on how bad they performed last week against Ohio State. But because Paul Chris's his seat is kind of heating up a bit, this is just the perfect opportunity for him to put up the best offensive performance all season, and for Chris McIntosh, the AD, to just be like, "Hey guys, guess what? We got our ass kicked by Ohio State, but hey, he just beat Illinois by 24. His job's safe again. He's good." Yeah, no, okay. This is just a business opportunity right now for me. My agenda is still continuing after this game, but yeah, I think Wisconsin's going to absolutely blow Illinois out the water on this one.
Nothing more important than a man's agenda. You've talked me into it live. I'm adding Wisconsin -7 to my card. I think that they're going to, again, Vegas is undervaluing them just because Ohio State pumped them. I don't think Illinois is a good football team whatsoever. And I think that Braylon Allen will run for close to 200 yards, and Illinois is not going to score. They're just not going to. So I love that Wisconsin pick. I'm on that with you. Is there anything else I missed? I want to make sure because I was a little scrambled, but I think we're all good, right?
In terms of mine, yeah, I only got 3 more in terms of actual game plays, but you just haven't touched on those games yet.
Yeah, those are the night games. All right, awesome. So moving on, this is I'm on another MAC game. I know we took a little bit of a break. I went MAC, then we kind of got backtracked, but that was my fault. So I'm also on Kent State -11 against Ohio. Kent State they were coming in my MAC preview, my favorite team. I picked them to win the MAC +800. I think now they've moved to like +550. They're 1-3, but that's because they had a gauntlet. They had to play Washington, Oklahoma, and then Georgia. They look good against Georgia. They got smoked by Oklahoma. They got smoked by Washington, but they kind of put together they were hanging in there for a little while against Georgia. So I like Kent State. I'm still confident in this team, and they're 11. I believe they're on the road. I lost my place. They are on the road. 1 second. Sorry. I'm all over the place today. I apologize. Yes. Oh, they're at home. Excuse me. Even better. They're at home. They're -11 at home. They're going to crush Ohio is not a good football team. I know that Ohio bit me in the butt when I took FAU as my lock, but Kent State's a better football team. They have the better offense. Their defense isn't great, like I've been saying all year, but I think their offense is just so much better than Ohio's offense. Ohio almost lost to Fordham last year. I know Fordham has Tim DeMorat's a great quarterback, great wide receivers at Fordham, but Kent State is a better football team than Fordham. They have more weapons, and they're going to stomp Ohio. Kent State -11 is my play for that game. I think there's a couple of games we have in between that we're not going to touch. I don't think either of us have a play in this game in LSU Auburn. I just want to touch on it because it's very interesting to me. LSU is a big favorite on the road.
Aren't they +8? I think. I mean -8.
LSU's -8 at Jordan Hare at night. I don't think LSU's very good. I know Auburn's not very good, but that's just a weird number to me.
LSU did just beat Mississippi State. I think that's kind of a little bit what Vegas is looking at in terms of this. I think Auburn is – this might sound kind of I don't want to say weird to say, but like I just think Auburn is just one of the most pathetic teams right now in college football,
That's a good way to say it.
Especially how they looked against Penn State. The whole administration is a mess. I don't know how anyone's behind Brian Harsin. I mean, it's not just the offseason scandal. I feel like every time I watch this man on television, I just look at him and I'm just like, who the hell wants to play for you? I mean, I just don't know why a recruit would rather pick him over a Les Miles or, or any other SEC offer that you may have. I get it. I do. I would stay away from it because this also feels like the most perfect LSU BS that you could possibly do for them to come off of such a high since, beating Florida State. I'm sorry, losing to Florida State, the way that they've recovered since that game. And then they blow at this. They're finally on a high. They just beat a very good quarterback in Will Rogers and that Mississippi State offense. This just feels like the perfect opportunity for them to blow it. But I still think Auburn's pathetic. Like I said, I don't see any positive with them. I think they're going to finish last in the SC West, in my opinion. So, I mean, I don't know. There's just trap no matter which way I look at it.
Yeah, it's a very scary game. I'm kind of glad we stayed away from it. You have Ohio State Rutgers, right?
Yes, and I literally just had the most perfect stat to back this up. So my play is Ohio State team total 49 over. Ohio State, since that struggle against Notre Dame, has scored 45, 77, 52, and this Rutgers defense is worse than I'd probably say maybe two. I don't know if I'd say that they're worse than Toledo, but they just crushed Wisconsin. They just scored 52 on an offense that was number one in the country last year. And Rutgers, on the other hand, they allowed a touchdown pass to Spencer Petras last week. I mean, come on. That's just I'm sorry. Hang on a second. Wait. No, he did not score a touchdown pass. I'm wrong. But at the same time, he still had a positive completion percentage. I still don't trust that.
Played all right in that game. It was gross.
And I'm not the biggest fan of Rutgers. I mean, the most that they've allowed this season is 27 against Iowa last week, but you're going into the shoe, you're facing CJ Stroud. Even if JSN is not healthy, guess what? They got so many other great wide receivers to throw the ball to. This is a different animal than what Rutgers has been used to all year. Ohio State scored over 49 in their last two games against Toledo and against Wisconsin. I'm fully on board with Ohio State. I feel like every time that I bet Ohio State, I'm just winning free money no matter what I do with it at this point. But I just love the Buckeyes. I just think they're going to absolutely demolish this Rutgers defense right now.
I completely agree. I love that pick. I'm also adding that to my card. It's the second time you convinced me. If Ohio State can score 52 against Wisconsin, I can only imagine what they're going to score against Rutgers. Rutgers defense could not stop Iowa. Ohio State's going to crush Rutgers. It's going to be a bloodbath. I'm on the number. And then we got two more plays to round out the night. I know you like something in the Western Kentucky Troy game. That game I'm staying away from just because I don't know a lot about Western Kentucky. I know Troy should have beat App State, but in our pick'em, I know that I just took Western Kentucky because they're the home team, they're a favorite, so that's why I took them in our pick'em. But what do you have in that?
Western Kentucky. I mean, listen, no Zach Kidley, no problem. I mean, that's kind of the way it is right now. I got Western Kentucky over 31 against Troy. I don't know much about Troy, but this is what I do know. Western Kentucky scored under 31 points this year only once, and that was against a Power 5 opponent in Indiana, and that was at Bloomington in Indiana. Okay, I think they're going to just absolutely shred. I'm not going to say shred, but they're going to get over 31. This is still a really good Western Kentucky team. I mean, last week, 73-0 against Florida International. They shredded the Panthers. Austin Reed, you know what? Last week, 5 touchdown passes, 381 yards against this FIU team. They got some really good wide receivers. I like what they got in the running game. They had 2 running backs get over 60 yards. It's not much, but you know what? They still could control it. And right now, the pass attack right now, Western Kentucky is way too demolishing right now. The lowest that they scored this year is 30. I think they're going to crush 31 with ease. I think they're going to get at minimum 42.
Yeah, the Hilltoppers always have a great passing attack from the days of Mike White and Brendan Doughty and Bailey
Also,
Zappi. They always have good quarterbacks. They always have guys that they always aerate it, and they're a lot of fun. So I do like that play.
I
And
will say
then
this too. So Troy has allowed over 31 only once, and that was against App State 2 weeks ago. They allowed only 7 to Marshall. Marshall, I don't know what to think on right now because one day they look good, the next week they look, eh. So Troy has shown a lot of weak spots on their defense, which is why I think I'm still liking Western Kentucky a lot right now. Shout out Austin Reed. I think he's gonna have a phenomenal
yeah,
game.
so yeah, then we don't have anything like at the night games. To round out the card, I believe Andrewster and I are on Clemson -6.5. This is just because I think they're a touchdown now, but I took it at 6.5. Buy it down to 6, I think, because I just to be safe, because I don't like the football numbers scare me. But Clemson went into Wake Forest, a very good Wake Forest team that we talked about previously. Ungalele looked solid. He managed the game. He made some great throws. The defense was iffy, but Sam Hartman at Wake Forest, what can you do? Great quarterback. I think Clemson proved themselves that they should be the 5th best team in the country. I think they're a very good football team, unfortunately, because I like when Clemson's bad. And NC State does not impress me. NC State should not be the number 10 team in the country. They almost lost to ECU. And this is loading. I forget who else they played. But they don't impress me at all. Okay. So they should have lost to ECU. Charleston Southern, big whoop. They beat Texas Tech on Texas Tech's worst day of the year. Texas Tech looked bad. NC State looked bad. And they won the game by 13. And they played UConn. They beat UConn 41-10. I had UConn in my parlay last. That's why my parlay hit, because of UConn. Shout out Huskies and the dog parlay, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But they didn't look good against UConn. They looked very sloppy. They didn't put up a lot of points, and you can't be sloppy against this Clemson team, especially in Death Valley. I think that Dabo has these guys ready. I think after that great win against Wake Forest, I think they absolutely roll against NC State. I could see Devin Leary throwing 2 picks and Clemson winning this game by 20.
No, I agree. I mean, I think NC State has proven that they're not a top tier team that we may think that they are. I think we have them lower in our transfer portal CFB poll than what the AP does. I think we have them at like 17th or so, and the AP has them at 12th. Correct me if I'm wrong. So we're obviously not big on them. Devin Leary's had a really, really slow start to start the year. The defense has been they almost lost to ECU on the first week of the season. There's just a lot of question marks with NC State right now, and they play a top 5 team in the country on the road. This is just not where NC State wants to be right now.
Yeah, I think Clemson crushes them. So that's our Friday, Saturday card. Shout out Tally Site once again for helping us out. We'll put our picks in there and we'll tweet them out for everybody. So moving on to our next segment, the Parlay Corner. Andrew, I know you got another can't lose parlay for us.
Yeah, ever since week 1, all my can't lose parlays have lost, but it's not my fault. It's not my fault because one of those parlays had Notre Dame beating Marshall, it had Texas A&M beating App State, and one of the other big upsets that happened that week. I forgot which one it was, but it lost me. It lost me a lot. All right, what can I say? This one is only 5 legs. All right, I'm not doing 10. Because I feel like every time I do 10, I get screwed. So this is a 5 leg plus. Get ready for this. Plus 319. So
good odds.
First one. This game is honestly the reason why it's at 319. If I took this game off, it probably goes down to probably plus 150. First game, Houston money line versus Tulane. I think Tulane is looking really bad right now. I think they're on a really bad low after they lost to Southern Miss. Houston's defense is really picking up a little bit. I'm not entirely sold on how good Tulane could possibly be. I have yet to see a whole lot from them right now. I think they're going to come down to earth. Houston, they're only going to get better at this point. I don't think they're going to get worse. The team looked a lot better last week than what it did the 2 weeks prior. This is at home. Houston just needs to win. Okay, they can win by a touchdown. I mean, by 1 point, they'll be fine. Next one, Wisconsin money line versus Illinois. Call that the Latino chill special at this point, okay? Because I got those 2 teams on. I don't think Illinois can win in Camp Randall. I don't think they've won in Camp Randall since the 90s, 80s, something like that. This is Brett Bielema's first game back at Camp Randall since he left. I think Wisconsin's just going to win this game. They don't even got to cover the 7. They just got to win. That's all I care about. This next one is an alternative line. These next 3 are alternative lines. James Madison has to beat Texas State by 7. That's it. I could probably do this at 17, and it probably jumps up to like plus 500 or something like that. But shaky shit happens all the time in college football. I'm not risking it. James Madison, just beat Texas State by 6.5. We'll be fine. Next, I know you're going to love this one. Texas Tech just has to be within 22 of Kansas State. I was originally going to do 20, and then I was going to think about doing 21, but 22 is just that perfect spot. I do not think Kansas State's going to beat Tech by 3 touchdowns. I don't think they have the offense mindset to beat Tech by 3 touchdowns. 22 just feels a good number. I still think Tech's got a chance to win this game, but Kansas State, you're not beating Tech by 3 touchdowns. All right. If you do, it's still fine because that's why I got it at 22, just in case it decides to be stupid. The next one is probably the easiest win on the card. Alabama has to be Arkansas by 6.5. Just minus 6.5 versus Arkansas. It's like I said before, Arkansas currently has the worst pass defense in the country right now. Mm-hmm. And the Heisman winners coming into town. I mean, I think they're already going to cover that 17, but I'm just going to shorten it down a little bit just to make it a can't lose style, and just minus 6.5 versus Arkansas for Alabama. That's all I got. Plus 319. And once Houston gets the win over Tulane tonight, by the time that this comes out, smooth sailing, it's going to hit. It's going to hit this time, all right? It's only 5 legs. It's 5 legs. It's not 10. It's 5. I've learned my lesson.
Plus 319, I like it a lot. So no parlays from the other guys that aren't here. But last week, big win. The dog parlay plus 773 hit. Oh, the dog parlay, baby. Plus 773. We're right back with it. Plus 1223 on this one. We're starting off. It's only 4 legs. Plus 1223. It's very juicy. I'm in love with it. Old Dominion money line. They're home against Liberty. Liberty looked not good against Akron. Old Dominion's very feisty. They're a lot of fun to watch. I think they win. It's going to be a close game. I think they're plus 3.5. They're plus 120 on the money line, I believe. 135, somewhere around there. But they're going to win this game. The Monarchs will beat the Flames. Louisiana Monroe plus 10. They're at Arkansas State. Here's a fun fact. Talked about this on the Upset Show. I have Louisiana Monroe beating Arkansas State. Now, on the parlay, though, we're buying it up to plus 10. Louisiana Monroe has not beaten Arkansas State in 12 years. They have game at Arkansas State since 2001. Can they do it this year? I don't know. The spread's a touchdown. For the sake of the parlay, we're buying it up to 10. Keep it there. It's going to be within that number. I promise you. Oregon State plus 11 at Utah. I don't know about Utah, but they're playing Utah. Plus 11. I bought that up. Utah hasn't impressed me. Oregon State should have beat USC. Oregon State is they're maybe my favorite team in the Pac-12 right now. They will keep this on this number, plus 11. And to round out the dog parlay, this is going to be the sweatiest part. Oklahoma State money line against Baylor. Like I said before, I think Oklahoma State just a better team. They have the better quarterback. I don't like Blake Shapen. I think Spencer Sanders outplays Shapen, and they beat Baylor. That's 4 legs plus 1223. Put $100 on it, get $1,200 back. Do whatever you want, but I'm confident in this dog parlay. So those are our parlays. That's the parlay corner. Let me run through our lock. And Drewster loves Eastern Michigan minus 20. I love that as well. I think Eastern Michigan rolls and crushes UMass. Matt has under 42.5 Michigan, Iowa as his lock. I love that play as well. I think that's going to be a hard game. No one's really going to score because you go into Kinnick, J.J. McCarthy, not confident in him. Blake Corum, Iowa, great against the run. Blake Corum, a great running back, but he could get shut down. And then Iowa's offense is non-existent, essentially. So I think that's a great play by Matt. And for me, we've won 3 locks in a row. This is another white whale 5-star lock. We're not going spread. We're going back to the total. We're going back to what we know. We're going Toledo, Central Michigan, over 59. That's my 5-star white whale play, and I'll tell you why. Toledo's offense with DeQuan Finn is incredible. Central Michigan's defense is bad. They let up 33 points to Penn State, and Sean Clifford played terrible. Quarterback Daniel Richardson, he questions this game, but they have Lou Nichols. Freshman Jace Bauer is a very, very good replacement. I think Toledo will win this game, but Toledo this is going to be one of those fun MACtion games. You're going to be like, oh my God, Toledo won 50-35. It's going to be like that. DeQuan Finn's going to have an absolute day, and it's going to go over 59. Toledo might score 59 themselves, okay? This is going over 59. Toledo, Central Michigan, White Whale, 5-star lock.
I don't know if I'm going to have as much energy as what you just did right there, but I respect it. I really do.
Got to go with the energy and the locks.
So this one's kind of a little bit, we kind of like preluded to earlier. My lock of the week is Penn State over 37.5 against Northwestern. Northwestern is absolutely got killed with the Nebraska curse. Since beating Nebraska week 0, they're 0-3. And listen to some of these teams that they lost to. Duke. Okay, we didn't think Duke was that good, but you know what? They ended up being that good. It's fair. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They then lose to Southern Illinois. I mean, come on. I mean, I don't know if this is true or not. I'm pretty sure it is, but I'm pretty sure Southern Illinois is the worst Illinois school in every FBS, FCS, the way you put it. I know Eastern and Western Illinois are better. I know Illinois State's better. Southern Illinois, they put up 31 on Northwestern. Are you kidding me? An FCS school goes to Ryan Field and put up 31 points. Like, we thought that Pat Fitzgerald had the safest job in college football going into the season, even if they went 0-12. Guess what? 1-11 might honestly be a possibility with how bad Northwestern's going these days. And then they lose to Miami. I think Penn State, what they put up last week against Central Michigan, I think it's a fluke, and they still put up 33 points. I mean, Sean Clifford played bad, but you know Sean Clifford better than anybody else. Whenever he has a bad game, he somehow, some way puts up a good game the next week and just manages to keep onto his spot just that little bit longer. I think this is the type of game where he's going to look good again. I love Nick Singleton so much. I really do. He's my second favorite Big Ten true freshman running back of all time. The first one, yours truly, Braylon Allen, last year, but that's beside the point. I love what Penn State's offense is. I got to give a huge shout out to Penn State. I thought their offense was going to be boring. I thought it was going to be slow. While it obviously wasn't that good last week against Central Michigan, if they're going to look bad, they're probably going to look good the next week. And they've only failed to score over 30 points. They have yet to score under 30 points this year. And that's the important thing to know about. They scored 35 against Purdue. They scored 46 against Ohio. They scored 41 against Auburn, and they scored 33 against Central Michigan. I think they're going to go into Happy Valley, go up against Central Michigan, and I think over 37.5. I think they're going to get into the 40s with ease, to be honest with you. I love Singleton a lot. I think Clifford's going to have a bounce back game, and that defense, I think they might get a touchdown or two on their own, to be honest.
I love it. I really hope so. I mean, I like this offense. I'm not confident with Western, but that's our show. Andrew, his lock over 37.5 Penn State team total. And Drewster is on Eastern Michigan -20. Matt is on the under 42.5 in Michigan, Iowa, and I'm on the over 59 in Toledo, Central Michigan. That's our show. Week 5 is done. Please like, subscribe this video. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, at TPortalCFB on pretty much everything, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Like, subscribe. Thank you for listening. Let's win some money.